AITA for getting mad at my trans friend's new name? I know the title is bad, but bear with me. My trans female friend recently transitioned and I have been giving her my support. She now no longer uses her dead name and was in the process of choosing her new name. Now I am all for having freedom of choice for your new name, but I do find it a little weird that people will choose Eastern Asian names for aesthetic reasons when they themselves are not Asian. You won't see people choose a Southern Asian name because those are deeply rooted in tradition and culture when Eastern Asian names are too. I was always teased growing up for having such a weird and hard name to pronounce. Minyoung. And choosing an Asian name does feel a little like cultural appropriation. I would have been fine if my friend chose a name in my culture, Korea, that was common and that she felt comfortable using, but what she chose is something that really rubbed me off the wrong way. In 2017 my sister passed away and it really messed me up for a while. As kids our father was abusive and I had only my sister to rely on. She was an adult at the time and took me out of the abusive home. My sister's name was Minseo. So my friend phones me one day to inform me that the name she had chosen was Minseo. Keep in mind that she herself is nowhere near Asian. As soon as I heard she had chosen my dead sister's name I felt really disrespected. My friend knew my sister before she passed and had always made remarks about how pretty my sister's name was. I never thought that she would take up my sister's name. I told her that I didn't like how her name was my sister's name and asked politely if she could change it because I don't feel comfortable calling her by a deceased person's name. She ended up blowing up at me saying that I should feel grateful she was using my sister's name and that she already chose it and wanted to use it. She called me an asshole and hung up. Now all of our friends are calling me selfish for not letting her use my sister's name and saying that I was just transphobic even though I chipped in for much of her surgeries and supported her through it all. So I've come to Reddit to ask for help. Am I really the asshole here? Update. I have taken the advice and moved out and spoken to the campus housing. Some of my friends are still siding with her, but some have seen why I find the name disrespectful. I still wish to keep a civil conversation with them as much as the petty side of me wants to blow up at them. To those that are saying this post is fake and made up for attention, I really wish it was that. Sometimes the most unexpected things can happen and this is one of them. I really did lose my sister and miss her deeply, and those saying otherwise is invalidating my suffering. I don't feel the need to explain myself to strangers on the internet, and this post is only here because I have no idea what to do. The only people I have to give me advice is my brother. I have been slowly contacting each of the friends and calmly telling them my side, but it doesn't always have the best result. Cutting them off seems to be the best option even though I wish not to. My brother has given his 2 cents on this and I'll paste his text below. Note: I translated this from Korean into English. My brother and I mostly communicate in Korean. WTF. Minyoung, these friends are making you seem like the villain. Why are you still staying there? Do you need me to pick you up? I can't believe that they would do such a thing. You can't still be friends with them. You are not in the wrong here, and don't think that. This is blatant gaslighting. Minseo deserved better than this. It sounds like to me that wants to start shit with you. NTA. Your friend is being very disrespectful. It's especially outrageous after you supported her through her journey and even gave her money for surgery. If she can't apologize, it's time to end the friendship and ignore her. NTA. What your friend did is insensitive and disrespectful. I would cut ties with anyone that tries to take the name of a late family member. I don't know where the transphobic part came from when all you asked was for this friend to not use the name of your late sister. Also, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm trans and agree that you're NTA and not transphobic. Honestly, I feel like her choosing a Korean name at all when she's not Korean was weird. But choosing your sister's name without even asking you is especially weird. When myself and many of my friends were transitioning, we were usually very careful to pick names that both reflected who we are and didn't encroach on other people the way your friend has. You can try to explain it to her again if you want. But it sounds like you've already taken a try at it and it's not working. There's nothing wrong with asserting this as a boundary and explaining that you have no issue with her transitioning. But her choosing that name is upsetting to you. Using I statements sometimes helps in those situations, focusing on how you feel rather than being accusatory toward her. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. It's hard enough to experience the loss of your sister, and harder yet to have your friends ostracize you over this. I really do hope they'll come around. But if not, there's nothing wrong with finding new friends who respect your emotional needs and boundaries. I'm so sorry for the loss of your sister. But, for what it's worth, as a trans person, I agree that your friend is completely out of line. Like, you were in no way transphobic. You just asked for her to respect your late sister's memory. Also, I agree, I don't understand the trend of trans folk taking East Asian names when they aren't Asian or of Asian descent. Like, I'm not one who typically throws around the words cultural appropriating often, but I kind of agree that it is that. They're doing it because it's trendy, not because of a respect of the heritage and the meaning behind it. But long story short, you're NTA at all, and I agree you may just be better off without her. NTA. She is not your friend. If she was, then she would have realized how much this would hurt you. I feel like only someone who is self-absorbed wouldn't realize this. At a minimum, it should have been discussed with you beforehand. NTA. So in your friend's logic, you are transphobic. But yet somehow she isn't being racist? This gives me super creepy stalker, SWF. Dated myself there. Vibes. Do not like. NTA. So, I actually had something very similar happen to me. And my advice to you is to ask your friend to ask other trans women about their opinions on her taking an Asian name as a non-Asian person. In my case, my friend asked me if she could honor me by taking my name, also Korean, as her middle name. I told her I was very touched and asked her for some time to process how I would feel about it. During that time, she spoke with other friends, both trans women and cis women, and they were the ones who pointed out that it would be appropriation even if that wasn't her intent. She apologized to me and chose a different middle name. I'm really sorry to hear that she's currently unable to hear your discomfort as something other than a critique of her transition. I imagine that this is a very exciting yet scary moment for your friend to expand her identity and test out what it's like to live her true self. And that excitement, fear is overriding her being a good friend. If she can speak to other trans women, they might be able to explain why she might want to reconsider her decision in a way that she still feels safe and supported. NTA, you are absolutely not being transphobic. Your friend is completely out of line, and her being trans does not give her the license to use your deceased sister's name. She is knowingly doing this, and it is absolutely cultural appropriation. She is being insensitive to a culture she knows nothing about to use a name that belongs to roots she has no connections to. TBH, I would stop being her friend over this. She is completely selfish and not a friend. NTA She wants you to respect her and her decision, yet she doesn't respect the fact that the name is very close to you personally. If I were her, I would have at least asked before I went and changed my name. NTA That is a creepy thing to do all around and really rude and self-centered. NTA I'd cut my losses and end the friendship. NTA That's just a dick move, taking a close friend's sister's name. Every time you hear it you will be reminded. And choosing a traditional Korean name is pretty insensitivity. Knowing you and your sister may have even introduced this person to your name, which would make it even worse. While you don't have a say in this person's name, you do have a say in whether or not to be friends. Being called a asshole during an argument over the name of someone you're grieving speaks volumes about their character. I'd ditch the friend over this. As a trans person, NTA your friend is being a massive jerk. The fact that she doubled down and tried to make you look like the asshole after such a disrespect is very telling. You can't stop her from using this name. But she has shown her true colors in that she's selfish and disrespectful. I wouldn't want to be friends with her anymore if I were you. But if she's very important to you, maybe you could suggest other names for her. Either way, people will probably jump to the transphobic conclusions here. But I can clearly see from your post it doesn't have anything to do with that. NTA Time to distance yourself from this friend. Choosing that name knowing who she was is pretty messed up. Even though I chipped in for much of her surgeries and supported her through it all. Calling you transphobic after all you've done for her is ignorant. Call it money loss. And move on. She's no friend. Friends don't do this to one another. NTA First, I'm so sorry for your loss. Second, it is absolutely inappropriate for your friend to choose your late sister's name. And it is beyond offensive that she told you you should feel grateful for it. NTA Op. I am truly sorry for the loss of your sister. Your friends are being downright awful. I can't imagine fixing my brain to decide to go by my friend's decreased sister's name. I don't have words to describe how disgusted I am by your friend's decision. And your friends supporting the decision. Cultural appropriation aside. And it absolutely is cultural appropriation. It's extremely insensitive. Your friend has made it quite clear that her wants are more important than your feelings in grief over the loss of your sister. You deserve much better friends. NTA If disagreeing with a trans person automatically makes someone transphobic, how are we to judge when a trans person is being an asshole? NTA One of my good friends, and my sister's best friends, died very suddenly at a young age, and I plan to name my firstborn after him. However, if any of his friends or family objected, I would of course change the name. NTA This is not transphobia. FFS Calling a trans person out on BS isn't transphobia. Cut these people out of your life. Being trans is not a free pass to be an insensitive jerk. Using your sister's name is rude to you and not very respectful of your heritage. NTA
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.